Welcome you all to the course on Gender Studies. This is the 18th episode in the series. Let me tell you the three objectives that I have framed for this episode on Alice Walker's The Color Purple. The first objective is to understand the significance of the title. The second objective is to comprehend the problems of African American women. The third and final objective is to make the students contemplate over the gender questions of incest, bisexuality, lesbian, and exploitation of women. So in the last episode, we happened to see the whole novel and its summary. Now let us get into some of the themes and the significance of the title, and as well how it can be studied in the view of gender studies. So it is an African American women novelist. We have come across many African American women novelists such as Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou. They are very popular women novelists from African American literature. Particularly Toni Morrison is a Nobel laureate, and Maya Angelou is known for her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing. And Alice Walker is also known for her coinage of womanism. It's an umbrella term where men, women and children of black race can be studied. And also homosexual and lesbian relationship are studied in the tenet. So about the novel, it is an epistolary novel. The Color Purple is an epistolary novel written in the form of letters. It depicts rape, incest, bisexuality and lesbian love among African American women. And it has won the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award as well. And the theme of the novel can be said that it is to stay strong. Women is to stay strong and keep fighting. So it travels from the women's servitude or abusement to emancipation and empowerment. So from slavery to emancipation, from abusement to empowerment, from powerlessness to power. So unity in the perspective of women to women is stressed in the novel, another theme. So unity in the perspective of women to women. A female is needed to realize a female experience is also stressed in the novel. And God is used as a symbol in the novel because almost all the letters are addressed to God, and some of the letters are written by Nettie to Sally. And it shows the reality that she is no more dependent, that is to say, from Christian monotheism or anthropomorphism to pantheism. So she initially believed that God was merely a man with a beard. So almost she idolized a white man as God. Later she comes to know that God is not a person, and it is everything. Trees are God, plants are God. In one of the letters she writes, trees, dear plants. So instead of God, she starts identifying all the elements or all the manifestation as gods. It is a philosophy of pantheism, and she also finds God inside her. That is, she herself considers as a god. In the sense, she talks about spiritualism. So from Christian monotheism and anthropomorphism to pantheism and spiritualism is the transformation that is occurred in her. In the gender level, from her being an object of someone's care to an independent woman. So initially she thought that someone will come and take care of her. She also believed that her husband must be taking care of her. She should not move away from her husband because he is considered to be the God. Later she realizes that is not so. It is not her sphere. So from her being an object of someone's care to an independent woman or a self-made woman. So from a dependent woman to an independent woman, from an object of someone's care to self-made woman. So she started giving, she deserved her own voice during the end of the novel. Now let us see something about the significance of the title, the color purple. Normally, color purple is associated with beauty and wonder and mystery and liberation and dignity. Here in the novel, it stands for nature and beauty for the first place, and wonder and mystery. See, color purple holds true throughout the novel. So almost all throughout the novel you can come across the usage of color purple. Shug, who believes, her perception about God goes under complete transformation after listening to Shug, who believes in respecting the nature and beauty of life and rejects the narrow perception of the church, asserting it pisses off God if you walk by the color purple in the field and don't notice it. So Shug thinks that in the field where the color purple is visible, God is also visible. It is not in the church itself. Therefore, the institutionalized religion is rejected and the spiritualism is suggested by Shug, and it is suggested through the color purple. Let me read the line again. It pisses off God if you walk by the color purple in the field and don't notice it. So this color acts as a more liberating religion. So God gives as he is a genderless and raceless being who enjoys being admired. So the color is not mere color, but it is also represents the source of wonder and marvels like God. Then, in the second place, the color purple also stands for liberation and authority. Celia mentions her fondness for the color. So Shelley imagines Shug in the color, who according to her is beautiful, royal, elegant and liberated. So these beautiful, royal, elegant and liberated are the qualities addressed by the color purple. So the color purple also stands for the character Shagavari. So Shug symbolizes these qualities of purple, and she is royal, elegant, beautiful and liberated. So the color has some historical significance as well. It is associated with authority and power, because Shelley searches but find no purple cloth for her to wear. This is an indication of how Shelley is not yet liberated. So Shelley is not liberated is shown through her not finding a color purple, and she wears colors which are dull colors instead of happy colors like red and purple in the beginning. So it also shows how the authority operates or power operates in Shelley, and she is craving for the color, that is authority or power. Then in the third place, color purple stands for advancement or progress. So Shelley makes pants for Sophia that are red and purple. So this is not only a symbolic of Shelley's independence, but also the advancement of women who now wears pants, as earlier this was an abhorrent idea to the society but is acceptable now. So wearing pants was not acceptable during the time of Shelley, but at the time of Sophia it has become quite common, and Shelley makes a pants for Sophia to wear. So it shows Shelley's independence and progress. And another occasion is that Shelley owns a house at last. She owns a house, and she decorates her own room with red and purple color, which shows her liberation and dignity and even progress. And in the final place, color purple stands for transformation or dignity, because Albert gives her a purple frog that he caused for Sally. So Albert prepares or gives her a purple frog that he himself caused for Sally, which is symbolic of the transformation of the relationship between men and women. So it shows how Albert has completely changed. So the color purple also stands for transformation in one's mind. So on the whole, the color purple represents all the good things in the world that God creates for men and women to enjoy. So it denotes all the good things in the world. So universe is good. That is what is the philosophy behind Alice Walker, that nothing is bad in the world, universe is good. It is in our perspective and it is in our choice. Thus the color purple becomes a repeatedly occurring aspect of the book, and that qualifies it to be made the title. So the title reflects in almost all the pages of the novel, and even the cover page is purple in color, where a woman is touching a purple flower, as if to say, in the Nutting poem, where Wordsworth say, there is a spirit in the wood. So it is human being to realize that there is a spirit in the wood as well. Now, feminist analysis or female outlook. See, it can be divided into three categories. First one is domestic violence and patriarchy, where we come across the figures as Pa or Alfonsa, Albert, and to some extent Harpo. And feminist stereotypes. Obviously, Sally is the stereotypical character. And third one is unconventional women, or who are strong and individualistic and protesting against. And under this tenet comes Sophia and Shagaveri. So if you remember these three titles, domestic violence and patriarchy, feminist stereotype, unconventional women, you can easily understand the feminist analysis, feminist study of the play. So the role of typical feminine stereotype, that is passive women. So Pa rapes her at least twice when she is only 14 years old. So therefore she is able to undergo this, able to bear or tolerate this domestic violence. So this passive character is can be studied under the feminine stereotypes. She is a very passive woman and a passive wife. So Sally doesn't fight back because she thinks this will keep her alive. It's a question of being alive or being ashamed, and she prefers being alive instead of being ashamed. So she doesn't consider that it is a shame on her. Instead, she thinks that anyhow she has to be living. So it's a problem of her existence. So another unconventional type, such as strong and independent women like Sophia and Shug, that challenge this patriarchy. So these two women challenge the patriarchy or male-dominated society. So Sophia did not let her husband Harpo beat her. She even stood up to the mayor and his wife, even though she knew the consequences. So her boldness and courage to fight against the male ideology is expressed in the novel. Shug was able to come and go as she pleases. Mr. did not control her or anything she did. She owned her sexuality and was very free-minded. Shug is a very respected character, even though she does not follow the patriarchal norm. So Shug is also like Sophia, acting according to her will. She is not ready to follow the pattern that society has designed. Instead, she has her own pattern to live. She do whatever she likes, and she is known for her free will. And she is absolutely an unconventional woman, challenging the patriarchal norms. Sally also, at a point of time, completely broke away from the social dilemma of male-centered world. Initially, Sally seems to be a stereotypical woman, but later she comes to know the fact, after a long striving and struggle, she emerges as a new woman, man challenging the patriarchy. So by the end of the book, the power was definitively shifted and a change was starting to happen. Thus, patriarchy and domestic violence. So when you see patriarchy and domestic violence are very common problem, universal problems still happening every day, yet for the black race it is even more troublesome. So fighting for equal power continues with women standing up for equality. So equality is the burning question everywhere. So here is also in the African American soil, women is often suffering out of the question of inequality because they are denied the basic rights that are supposed to be given to a wife. So we come across the concept that are incest, the worst concept ever, incest and rape, brutality against women. So now let us move on to gender. So how gender is seen in the novel, particularly women. So women here stands for sisterhood. How women can alone help another woman is seen through this novel, because Alice Walker is a strong believer in the womanism, or she is a womanist. Therefore, women are given a prominent role in the novel. Almost she has dumped with numerous women characters and restricted the male characters, and even reduced the male character's identity, you can say. So Alice Walker prefers the term womanist instead of feminism for black females. So GUBAR is a very important character in this aspect. Is a heroic figure who sings and acts in spite of the patriarchal society that judges her wrong and evil. So she is known for her own yearning and living, and even living in her own will, without restraining or confining herself to any societal norms and forms. Then the relationship between Sally and Nettie shows the progress from a period of near slavery to full emancipation and freedom. So slavery to freedom, this transition is clearly explained through Sally and Nettie, who were struggling a lot in the initial stage and later came to realize their identity and find a prominent place in the society. Then Shug helps Sally. So Shug and Sally relationship is quite inspiring because Shug acts as an ideal or role model to Sally for becoming a great or powerful woman. Even Shug helps Sally launch her own business and gives Sally the strength to take on Albert when she finds out the truth about her children and Nettie. So it was Shug who inspired or influenced Sally to the extent that she became powerful. Therefore, women have played a vital role in encouraging and in the emancipation and freedom of another woman. Now let us get into the gender ideology of men. So how men are given role in the novel. So most of the men in the novel are objectified. They are not treated as a subject and given a proper name. Say for example, in many of the letters he only says Pa instead of Alfonsa. In some of the letters she says Mr. instead of Mr. Albert. So only at a later time we come to know that the Mr. is Mr. Albert and the Pa is Alfonsa. Therefore, they have denied their identity. Purposefully it may be, but it is to show that she has reduced the roles of male, at least in narration. Because in the narration we come to know the fact through the content that male are dominant. But at least in the linguistic sphere, she has reduced the male subjectivity and they have been merely objectified. Now, Albert is called Mr. and their characters apart from Harpo are two-dimensional. So, Harpo is redeemed by his acceptance of female individuality. So, Harpo is also not a male dominate, is also a typical man from the patriarchal society, because in a course of time he also redeemed by his acceptance of female individuality. He accepts the female individuality. In fact, he suggested Albert to change his mind. But earlier, Albert lessoned him how to treat a woman, because according to Albert, women are mere children and they have to be beaten to make them right. And this lesson was taught to Harpo, which Harpo taken seriously in the initial stage, but later he comes to know that his father is wrong. Therefore, Harpo is a kind of there's a kind of transformation in the self of Harpo as well, and he advised his father in the later time, and he accepted the female individuality in the later time. So almost all the women are virtuous, having some flaw. See, it can be seen from the perspective of post-slavery legacy. So slavery has gone, but after the slavery period, the legacy was given to men. So women work, I am a man, says Harpo. Such is the nature of men in the novel. It could be viewed as a post-slavery legacy that the black male has suffered at the hands of the white man for so long. He has to try and reassert his authority by behaving towards the female as he was treated by the white male. Now, we need to realize that there is a two category, male and the black male. So, already black male has undergone many suffering in the colonized period, but he wanted to displace all the suffering of him towards the female members in the family. Therefore, there is a hierarchy that women, black women, black male, and white men. So white men have exploited black men, and the black men in turn exploited black women. Therefore, it should be understood in the racial prejudice and how colonization has impacted the minds of the black men. So, in a word, it is a post-slavery legacy of the black men. So Albert tells Harpo that women have to be beaten because they are like children. But when Shelley leaves, it is he that has to be comforted by his son. So Albert had an ideology, gender ideology, that women have to be beaten because they are like children. So children are to be corrected. They are innocent and we need to teach them lessons. But Shelley leaves the place. It is Albert who suffers a lot. It is Albert who feels a lot and later reformed himself. I changed himself because he could not live without Shelley. So this is the fact. So with this note, I just wind up this novel, and you can go through the novel. It is written in the form of letters. It's a quite interesting novel because I have given only the summary and some of the analysis that you can probably trace, but if you go deep into the novel, you can come up with your own views, own perspective, and it will be quite interesting to discuss. Therefore, I thank you so much.